Dinah Crow followed the runaway's trail for 5 days, until she found her preaching to a circle of killers with torches in their hands and fire in their eyes. Dinah Crow wasn't just any tracker. She was a whisper in the wind, a shadow in the trees. Folks said she could smell a lie a mile off and find a lost coin in a blizzard. Her face was etched with lines that told stories of sun and hardship, and her eyes were the color of flint, sharp and unwavering. She lived alone in a small cabin nestled deep within the hills, a place most people wouldn't dare to tread. Dinah didn't much care for company. People brought trouble, and trouble was something she'd had more than her fair share of in her life. She preferred the quiet companionship of the mountains, the rustling of leaves, and the hoot of an owl at night. Her past was a locked box buried deep, but every now and then a memory would surface, sharp and painful, reminding her why she kept to herself. The wild places suited her. They asked nothing and offered a kind of peace she couldn't find anywhere else. She was a part of the hills, and the hills were a part of her. The knock on Dinah's door was hesitant, almost apologetic. Dinah rarely had visitors, and the intrusion set her teeth on edge. She peered through a crack in the wooden door, her hand resting on the handle of the hunting knife she kept strapped to her thigh. Standing on her porch was a man dressed in fine clothes, his face pale and drawn with worry. He looked out of place, like a fancy bird lost in a hawk's nest. "Miss Crow," he asked, his voice trembling slightly. "I am Judge Harrison. I need your help." Dinah opened the door just enough to show her face. "I don't hold with judges," she said, her voice rough. The judge swallowed hard. "This isn't about the law, Miss Crow. It's about my daughter, Lily. She's gone, run off. And I need you to find her." He wrung his hands, his eyes pleading. "I'll pay you anything, just bring her home." He pulled out a heavy purse, the glint of gold catching the dim light. Dinah's eyes narrowed. Money was a powerful lure, even for someone like her. Dinah studied the judge's face, searching for any hint of deceit. She knew the wealthy often hid secrets beneath layers of silk and smiles. But his eyes held a genuine desperation, a father's fear. "All right," she finally conceded, her voice softening slightly. "I'll take a look." The next morning, Dinah stood outside the judge's grand house, the air thick with the scent of roses and privilege. She examined the muddy ground near the stables, her keen eyes scanning for any sign of Lily. A broken twig, a faint footprint. Dinah saw what others missed. "She left on horseback," she declared, pointing to the disturbed earth. "Riding west." Dinah followed the trail with practiced ease. She could tell how long ago Lily had passed by the dew on the grass and the way the leaves had settled. She moved silently, like a ghost, her senses alert to every sound and movement. The trail led away from the town, deeper and deeper into the hills, the landscape growing wilder with each mile. It wasn't just a runaway girl she was tracking, it was a journey into the unknown. After a few days, the signs began to change. Dinah found remnants of campsites, larger than what one person would need. There were discarded scraps of fabric, not the fine linen Lily would have worn, but rough-spun cloth. Dinah picked up a small, carved wooden bird, its wings broken. It felt wrong, out of place. The air itself seemed to hum with a strange energy. She noticed patterns in the arrangement of stones near the campsites, symbols she didn't recognize. The tracks of more horses joined Lily's, heading in the same direction. It wasn't just a runaway anymore. Lily had met up with others. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, Dinah saw it, a faint flicker of light in the distance. Not the warm glow of a campfire, but a wilder, more intense blaze. It pulsed against the darkening sky, a beacon in the wilderness. And with it, carried on the wind, came the faint scent of wood smoke and something else, something acrid and unsettling. Something burning. Dinah pressed on, the strange fire pulling her forward like a moth to a flame. She needed to know what was happening. She found a small, abandoned homestead, a collapsed cabin, and an overgrown field. Inside, huddled beneath a rotting beam, was a young man, his eyes wide with fear. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. Dinah approached cautiously, her hand on her knife. "What happened here?" she asked, her voice low. The young man flinched. The fire people," he stammered. "They came through, took everything, said they were cleansing the land." "Cleansing?" Dinah pressed. "What do you mean?" "Fire," he whispered, his voice cracking. "She the girl, she lieds them. Said fire will wash away the sin. They took my family's food, my tools, said we were impure." He started to cry, his body shaking. "Run," he pleaded. "They're coming back. Run while you still can." Dinah felt a chill run down her spine. This was more than just a runaway girl. This was something dangerous, something twisted. Lily had found something, or something had found her, and it was leading her down a dark path. Ignoring the young man's warning, Dinah continued her pursuit. The scent of smoke grew stronger, the air thick with an almost palpable sense of dread. After hours of trekking, she reached the crest of a hill and looked down into a hidden valley. There it was, the cult's camp. A chaotic collection of tents and makeshift shelters clustered around a massive bonfire that roared skyward, casting flickering shadows across the faces of the gathered people. They were chanting, their voices rising and falling in a hypnotic rhythm. Dinah scanned the crowd, her eyes searching for Lily, and then she saw her. Standing on a raised platform bathed in the firelight was a young woman with long, flowing hair. She was dressed in simple white robes, but there was nothing simple about her expression. Her eyes blazed with fervor, her face radiating a strange, unsettling power. It was Lily, but she was transformed. The frightened runaway was gone, replaced by a charismatic leader, a messianic figure who held the rapt attention of her followers. Dinah realized with a jolt that Lily wasn't lost. She was found. And what she had found was far more dangerous than anything Dinah could have imagined. Dinah knew she couldn't just rush in. She needed to understand. Under the cover of darkness, she moved closer to the camp, her movements silent and fluid. She found a spot behind a large boulder, giving her a clear view of the platform where Lily stood. Lily was speaking, her voice clear and strong, carrying across the valley. "We have been lost," she declared, her eyes shining with intensity. "Lost in a world of lies and corruption, a world built on greed and sin." The crowd murmured in agreement. "But the fire," Lily continued, raising her hands towards the bonfire, "the fire will purify us. It will burn away the old, the weak, the impure. And from the ashes a new world will be born, a world of truth, of light, of salvation." Dinah listened, her heart sinking. Lily spoke of a world she knew nothing about. A privileged life, shielded from the harsh realities of the frontier. What had driven her to this? What had made her turn her back on everything she knew and embrace this dangerous delusion? Dinah had to know. She had to understand why Lily had chosen fire over family. Later that night, as the camp settled into an uneasy quiet, Dinah saw her chance. She moved with the grace of a shadow, slipping past the sleeping figures and making her way towards Lily's tent. She pushed aside the flap and stepped inside. Lily was sitting cross-legged on a small rug, staring into the flickering flame of a single candle. She looked up, startled. "Who's there?" "It's Dinah Crow," Dinah said, her voice calm but firm. Lily's eyes widened, but she didn't seem surprised. "I knew someone would come looking for me." "Your father is worried sick," Dinah said. "He wants you to come home." Lily laughed, a short, bitter sound. "Home, that gilded cage. I could never go back to that. My father, his friends, they're all liars and cheats. They care more about money than people." She stood up, her eyes blazing. "Here, we're building something real, something pure, something that will last." "With fire?" Dinah asked, her voice laced with skepticism. "By hurting innocent people." "They are not innocent," Lily retorted. "They are clinging to the old ways. They must be cleansed." Dinah realized then that Lily was truly lost, consumed by her own twisted vision. Dinah slipped out of the tent, her mind reeling. She had to see what Lily was planning. The next evening, the cult was in a frenzy of activity. They were building a massive pyre in the center of the valley, piling wood high into the sky. The chanting was louder, more intense, filled with a fervor that sent shivers down Dinah's spine. She watched as Lily, her face illuminated by the firelight, walked among her followers, blessing them and preparing them for the cleansing. Dinah saw the fear in some of their eyes, but it was overshadowed by a blind faith, a willingness to follow Lily to whatever end. Then Dinah saw it. They were bringing out cages. Inside, whimpering and terrified, were animals, livestock stolen from nearby farms. Lily intended to sacrifice them, to offer them to the fire as a symbol of purification. But Dinah knew, deep down, that it wouldn't stop there. The fire, once lit, would demand more. And Lily, in her madness, would be willing to give it anything. The danger was no longer just about Lily's delusion. It was about the lives of innocent people. Dinah knew she couldn't let this happen. As the cultists prepared to light the pyre, Dinah approached Lily one last time. She found her standing alone, gazing at the towering stack of wood, her eyes filled with a strange mix of anticipation and detachment. "Lily," Dinah said, her voice cutting through the chanting. Lily turned, her expression unreadable. "You shouldn't be here." "This isn't you," Dinah pleaded. "This isn't the girl your father loves. Remember your life, Lily. Remember the good things. The laughter, the warmth, the love. Don't throw it all away for this madness." Dinah spoke of Lily's childhood, of the stories her father used to tell her, of the simple joys they shared. For a moment she thought she saw a flicker of recognition in Lily's eyes, a glimmer of the girl who used to be. But then the light faded, replaced by a cold, hard resolve. "That life was a lie," Lily said, her voice flat. "This is the truth, this is my destiny." She turned away, her gaze fixed on the pyre. "Light the fire," she commanded, her voice ringing with authority. Dinah knew then that Lily was beyond reach. There was no reasoning with her, no bringing her back. All that was left was to stop her. Dinah stood frozen for a moment, the weight of her decision pressing down on her. She had been hired to bring Lily back, to return her to her father. But what kind of life would that be for Lily? A life of resentment and bitterness, trapped in a world she despised. Could Dinah, in good conscience, condemn her to that? But then she looked at the faces of the cult members, their eyes glazed with fanaticism. She thought of the terrified young man she had met, of the stolen livestock, of the fear and suffering Lily's actions had caused. This wasn't just about Lily anymore. It was about protecting the innocent, about preventing further harm. Dinah's hand tightened around the handle of her knife. She had a choice to make, a choice that would define her, a choice that would determine the fate of the valley. Could she condemn Lily to a life she clearly hated, or could she allow her to continue down this destructive path, leading her followers towards a fiery end? The answer, though difficult, was clear. Dinah couldn't bring Lily back, she had to stop her. Dinah moved swiftly and silently, a ghost in the shadows. Her first target was the cages holding the animals. She used her knife to quickly cut through the ropes, freeing the terrified creatures. They scattered into the darkness, their bleating cries adding to the chaos. Then she focused on the pyre. She knew she couldn't extinguish it completely, not without help, but she could delay it, disrupt it, buy some time. She began pulling away the wood from the base, creating gaps in the structure, making it unstable. Cult members noticed her and rushed to stop her, their faces contorted with rage. Dinah fought with a fierce determination, her movements precise and deadly. She disarmed them, tripped them, used their own weight against them. She was outnumbered, but she was fighting for something more than just her own life. She was fighting for the innocent, for the future of the valley. The air was filled with shouts and screams, the crackling of the fire, and the desperate cries of the animals. Dinah knew this was just the beginning. The real battle was yet to come. With Lily, seeing the chaos erupting around her, Lily descended from the platform, her face a mask of fury. "Stop her!" she screamed, her voice piercing through the noise. "She is a heretic, she must be silenced." The remaining cult members surged towards Dinah, their eyes burning with religious zeal. Dinah knew she couldn't fight them all. She needed to isolate Lily, to confront her directly. Using her knowledge of the terrain, she led her pursuers on a wild chase through the camp. weaving between tents and leaping over obstacles. She lured them towards the edge of the valley, where a narrow, rocky path led up into the hills. One by one, she picked them off, using the environment to her advantage. A well-placed rock slide, a cleverly hidden pit, a swift kick to the chest, Dinah used every trick she knew to thin their numbers. Finally, she stood alone on the path, facing Lily, who had followed her, her eyes filled with a chilling calm. The final confrontation had begun. The fate of the valley rested on this moment. The fire crackled in the distance, a hungry beast waiting to be fed. Lily drew a knife, its blade glinting in the firelight. It was a simple hunting knife, not unlike Dinah's own. "You can't stop what's coming," Lily said, her voice eerily calm. "The fire will cleanse this world, and a new one will rise from the ashes." "There's no cleansing in fire, Lily," Dinah said, her voice low and steady. "Only destruction, only pain." She took a step closer. "I know you're hurting. I know you've been through things, but this isn't the answer. This isn't the way." Dinah spoke of her own past, of the darkness she had faced, of the choices she had made. She told Lily that there was always hope, always a chance for redemption. She reached out a hand, offering it to Lily. "Come with me," she said. "Let me help you." For a long moment, Lily hesitated. Dinah saw a flicker of doubt in her eyes, a brief glimpse of the girl she once was. But then the fire in her eyes blazed again, hotter than ever. "It's too late," she said, her voice filled with a chilling conviction. "I've already chosen my path." With a cry, she lunged at Dinah, her knife raised high. The final battle had begun. The fight was short and brutal. Dinah, with her years of experience in the wilderness, was a formidable opponent. She dodged Lily's wild swings, her movements precise and economical. With a swift move, she disarmed Lily, sending the knife clattering down the rocks. But Lily didn't give up. She lunged at Dinah, clawing and scratching, her eyes filled with a desperate rage. Dinah was forced to defend herself, pushing Lily back, trying to subdue her without causing serious harm. As they struggled, they stumbled close to the edge of the path. With a final desperate shove, Dinah pushed Lily away, sending her tumbling down the slope. Dinah watched as Lily fell, disappearing into the darkness below. She didn't know if Lily was alive or dead. The fire, deprived of its leader and with its base destabilized, began to collapse in on itself, its flames dying down. The remaining cult members, seeing their leader gone and their fire failing, scattered into the night, their dreams of salvation turning to ashes. Dinah had stopped the fire, but at what cost? Lily was gone, vanished into the wilderness, her fate unknown. Days later, Dinah stood once again on the judge's porch, the setting sun casting long shadows across the manicured lawn. She was weary, her clothes torn and stained with dirt and blood. The judge rushed out, his face etched with anxiety. "Lily, did you find her? Is she all right?" Dinah hesitated. What could she say? How could she explain what had happened? "I found her," she said finally, her voice gravelly. "But she's gone." She didn't elaborate, didn't tell him about the cult, about the fire, about the fight. She simply handed him a small, carved wooden bird, its wings broken, the same one she had found near the first campsite. The judge took it, his face crumpling with grief. Dinah turned to leave, but the judge stopped her. "The money," he said, holding out the heavy purse. "You earned it." Dinah shook her head. "Keep it," she said. "I didn't do what you asked me to do." She walked away, disappearing into the twilight. She hadn't brought Lily back, but she had saved the valley. And in doing so, she had faced her own demons, her own darkness. The hills called to her, and she knew she had to return to their silent embrace, forever changed by what she had seen and done. Back in her cabin, with the fire crackling softly in the hearth, Dinah sat and stared into the flames. The events of the past few days replayed in her mind, a confusing jumble of images and emotions. Had she done the right thing? Had she made the only possible choice? She knew Lily had been lost, consumed by her own darkness. But Dinah couldn't help but wonder if there was a little bit of that darkness in everyone, a wildness that yearned to break free, to reject the constraints of society and embrace something else. Good and evil, she thought, were not always easy to tell apart. Sometimes they were intertwined, twisted together like the roots of an old tree, and choices were never simple. Every decision had consequences, ripples that spread far and wide, affecting the lives of others in ways we could never fully understand. Dinah sighed, the weight of the world pressing down on her shoulders. She was just a tracker, a woman who lived alone in the hills. But she had been forced to confront something much larger than herself, something ancient and powerful, and she had survived. She would carry the scars of this experience with her, but she would also carry the knowledge that even in the darkest of times, there was always a flicker of hope, a chance to choose the light. The hills were her solace, her home, and she was ready to face whatever the future held, armed with the wisdom she had gained in the Valley of Fire.